Good day to all of you devils. Sam here with you. We're Thursday, June 21st. We're kind of midday. And as I will often mention, the way we pick these now, today Thursdays we poll our members. So we ask the existing members to submit the assets that they'd like to see reviewed in video. And today's winner, clear winner, by a long shot, was the dollar to the South African rand. So it's the USD to the ZAR. South African rand. So I've got a daily chart up here, and I've got a little bit of work on it here. So, I'm working all the way back to this double bottom here in 2011. Now, just a kind of a reminder here, I've mentioned this before. I will tell you from a lot of experience in trading in the Forex markets and currency markets in general, I want to encourage you to really consider longer-term trading. It's very hard to day trade in the currency market. I would encourage you to consider 4 hours and above. So short-term would be a 60-minute chart. Daily is something you've got to check, right? Because these currencies trend. It's all a function of, it tends to be interest rate driven. So where is money treated best? That's where it will flow. Here we've got a very long here, just clear impulsive move here. So coming off of that low, we get a very clean, 3, 4, 5. We've got an extension here in the 5th. It's all technical. You see, it's pretty easy to spot. Just working through the deepest retracements, and then here now this looks like I get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I get a big kick in the 5th. But I think that is the 3 based on the measuring and the relationship that I see, and I need to get an impulse in that 3rd, so it gives it to me there. Down for the 4, up we go for the 5. Now we're correcting that. So, pretty straightforward stuff. All right, so we've got a completed impulsive wave. So we're going to work from that double bottom low down here. We're going to go up to our pivot high. Where do we go? All right, well, we can see the correction here. So we get a 1, 2, 3. Now I had to measure in here. You got to check it. Now 3 here is longer than 5. So at first glance, this is what your eye goes to, but you have to check this because 3 is shorter than 1, but ends up being shorter than 5. So if we just check it here, so looking for any relationship. So if that's my 3, right there. Here's my 4 right to the 50, and then here's the algo target, right? So no surprise. In fact, we get 2 ticks from the second target off of this first pull, right? So here, interestingly, it returns back to the 50 to the tick, and then straight down to the second target. So we have a technical correction here, and we have a here we get through the 50, but we're hovering at the 50, and that's our reaction. So you'd want to check in here. So looking at this, right, of course the idea is where can I find a technical pivot so I can ascertain what the algos did last? Can I tuck in behind them? Can I use the Elliott wave to help me reduce my risk? So if I try and get in behind whatever they did last, can I tuck in, kind of surf their wake and stay with them while reducing the risk? Because we may not have the risk to just be a buyer here with a stop under the 65. That's a pretty substantial, on a daily chart, that's going to be a pretty deep drawdown, right? So that is why we use Elliott wave to try and get into that directional bias here. If we look at from the bias being the support here at the 50, can we get in with lower risk? So going from the daily now, well, let's leave this on. So we have this established as a potential ABC. So let me just show you a few other things. So what we're always looking for is confluence. Can I find confluence? Anything else I can add to that pivot? Well, I got to sort of dig here and look for significant pivots. I'm looking for confluence. I'm looking for fib relationships between swings. Well, here's an obvious one. So we can take, using my alt tool, I can go from my swing high and just say, okay, well, if that's my A, well, let's see if there's a relationship with my B to my C. Well, so very common for a C, we go to the 618, so it's almost to the tick. So length of the A projected from the B, we go to the 618 for the C. And boom. Now, in addition, right, as I showed you, that was just a few ticks through the 50. So we start piling on. We get this confluence here. So again, back from this to my swing low here. So I get a hot box down here, as I like to think of them. So I get this zone here, which would be a buy zone given the trend here. Now, did I trade that? No, I wasn't watching this. But that's what you're trying to identify. So whether you're in this, so let's assume this first time you're looking at it and say, yeah, well, it looks like, boy, algos are all over this, looks very technical. How can I trade it now? Well, let's see what else we can identify here. So we have that. Now this here, looking from this 2 to this here looks, I just eyeballing that looks to me like something I would want to check. So working from my 2 here to my 3, all right, so if I look here from this swing to from swing high, what I have labeled as the 2 to the 5 low, which gives me my A low. Well, note here we come to the tick, we come right to the golden zone, and then you can see this here. So we have more confluence. So look what we end up getting here. So if I take this and start combining these, so if I get length of my A projected from my B. All right, so look, I have a perfect overlap here of the 618 and the algo target, the negative 23.6. So there, I sit there. So that is just a screaming buy. Now, hard to do. Market's coming straight down. Hard to buy it. I understand that. Look here. So if I wick this off here, all right, so we got a little structural support, all of that on top of it, right? So just stacking the technical confluence there. Just a great buy. Great buy. All right, so okay. So if you're not in that, well, what do we do now? Well, let's see what else we can identify here. So clearly we have a very strong pivot right here. We can identify we've got algo participation, we've got structural support, we've got fib confluence, we've got Elliott pattern. Good pivot there. All right, let's clear it up here a little bit and say, okay, well, what do we do with it now? Well, so let's go to the 4 hour. Again, I want to keep this longer time frames. All right, so can I stay within the 4 hour? Well, it looks to me like I've got an Elliott count coming off of this. So looks like I've got, yeah, let's go with 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna have to check these here. 4, and that looks like I've got an extension in the 5th. Well, let's just double check this here. So just standard ops, what do? We wick off the 1. Do we overlap? No, we don't. All right, so good. A relationship between the 2 and the 4. Let's check it. Okay, so there's my 2 to my proposed 3, and I'm gonna have to check on that. What do we get here? So we go to the 50 double bottom. I swear, guys, I do not cherry pick these. I mean, I had no idea I was gonna be doing this. It's just the same thing every day. You know, I try and teach you guys. It doesn't matter. The underlying asset does not matter. I don't care if we're looking at Ethereum Classic to Bitcoin to any cryptocurrency to any asset, any foreign. They all trade the same way. And until you embrace that and quit looking for something else, you're going to struggle. I'm giving you the keys right here. The keys to the vault. All right, so here we go. Here's perfect double tap on the 50. Boy, do we rip right to target. So we come a little short here. It has to reset. Now, I will guarantee you that that's got a fib relationship in it. So if I go here, well, we get a little bit through the 65, but where do we go? We get all the way. Boy, this thing is just ripping higher. So it looks like maybe we have to recount this. So let's just double check this. So that gets to third winner. So it looks like I may have to count this way. So from this low here, if I go 1, 2, possibly 3 here, let's check this here. We could be going higher. So I gotta get this one off here. Let's change that color and let's go up a degree here so we can get a better idea of what that may be. Okay, so let's start measuring here. So this is just exactly what I would do regardless of what the asset is. The same thing every time, which is what I'm trying to communicate. All right, so let's pull it over. All right, what do we get? Okay, so so here's my high probability zone. Even though I get a little through it, I think that remains my high probability for my third, given the ABC that I get down here for my 4, and then as I showed you, the perfect tap of the double bottom at the 50. So I've got a contender here now for an extension going in my 5th. Well, let's think about that. So how do we measure for an extension? We take the start of the 1 up through the 3 and project from the 4, looking for some targets for the extension. So this would be a logical place to look for it. Here's my 1618, 175 band. Do I get a 4 down here? So this is going to be a pretty good extension in the 5th if that's going to play. Now, we don't know for sure that we've got another leg in there, because if I take this, well, it's just, you gotta pick it apart and see if you could be oversimplifying here. Maybe I've got to get into some more. Let's look here. Trend analysis here to see, do I have subdivision here that's going to support this? So if I go, all right, let's think now, this was significant here. So that could be, so if I look at that, looks like a truncated, pardon me, that looks like an expanded flat here I've got into my C. So let's just do a quick check on that. So if I take the length of my 1 and project it from my 2, how do I look here? Well, as a contender for a third, so there's the 100% from the last one that we drew. So that to the tick here, that's 100% the length of the 0 through the 3. So I like this as my 3. It looks like I get an AB expanded B wave there, then down for the C. So let's just keep digging it, picking it apart. So those all look like contenders. So let's look here now. If this is my 2 and that's my 3 here. So this right to the Vegas wave, right? Vegas wave, very, very prominent in Forex trading. So it like splits the lips of the Forex of the Vegas wave. Just a perfect technical trade. And then we get this last little rip here. Now it looks like there could well be one more kick there. So if I've got, well, that's a shallow 2, 3. We may be putting in a diagonal if this is going to keep coming down. But I'd want to be paying attention to this level here as my 3rd. I'd want to wick off my 1 here as well. All right, so that's going to be, those are levels I got to pay attention to. So are we done here? Well, oscillators, well, we got pretty hot on the RSI. Not classic divergence, not a lot there for help. So let's see if we've got any market geometry that can be helpful to us. So if I take look at this last wave here, well, that's kind of interesting. So looking at that, we've got a possibility here. So let's look here. If that could be my 5 here. So this could be topping here as we got through and went to the 25% beyond here. So I've got a contender here for a top. Now let's put that back into perspective relative to the larger degree. So I'm going back to the 4 hour. All right, so obviously we're going to look at is there something here? So if I take it from my high here to my low, well, we've gone to 786 to the tick. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's technical. Currencies you'll get more volatility here, so it's not uncommon for 786 to get tapped in Forex. You will see that a lot. So the fact that that's to the tick and we're just a few beyond the median line kind of gets my attention. So I'm going to go back to the 60-minute here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's hard to call that. So that's very interesting. So the fact that we tap that, so it looks like, so if that's done, then we could be putting 1, 2 before we go 3, 4, and 5 to get our A wave coming back down. Let's look for a little more confluence. I'm going to pull this off just to clear this a little bit. So what else can we get here? Can we build any more evidence into this pivot here where we've hit the 786 exactly? So again, same thing. I'm just going to take the length of my 1, projected from my 4, in between, not quite to the 272, but we clear the 100. So let's identify this here as a potential hot box. So I can take that off knowing that that has significance. Now I'm also going to check from the length of this 1, projected from this 4, if I pull it over. So we're going to bring this down a little bit. So there's my 2618. So the length of the 1, that would be an extreme for a 5th relative to the 1 is to get 2, and in this case we get beyond the 2618. So that's an extreme. I'd also look for this. I'd want to look for any additional evidence, as I think I just showed this to you, is I've got the length of the 0 of the start of the 1 to the 3. So again, I've got this, I'm kind of in between, so it makes me suspect of this. Now, I like the 786, but that's, we got to put that in context. What could that be? So let's go back to our 4 hour. Well, if I've got an ABC, now this could be a couple of things. So one scenario, right, is that this is incomplete and that this is just a 1-2 going in, given the 786. Can I get an ABC out of that? I'd have to rework the whole thing. So I'm less inclined to think that that's what's happening. I'm more inclined, given all of the technical evidence that we built into this pivot, that this is the start of a new trend. So given that, and given this, that we've gone into this little cluster here, even though it's not absolutely perfect, I'm going to defer to that longer term trend and assume that until I see that high being challenged, that I've got a contender here for this 5 to be in. So what would that be? If this is coming down here, this would just be my one wave. If we've got a new trend, big emphasis, if. Too soon to call it. So let's clear that up a little bit. Well, how are we gonna know? Well, if that's a completed 5-wave sequence, we're looking for some reaction down here at the 50. So let's just kind of draw this here. So this would be our reaction. Now let's just carry it over and see what we run into over here. So that looks to me. So prior support becomes resistance. Now we break through it. Now potentially it comes back to become support again. So you see that it's very levels driven in the Forex markets. You really got to pay attention. You really got to look left and see where prior support and resistance came into play. You're always looking for something. Well, do I have anything here? Well, so again, we're looking for levels. Well, that's kind of interesting, right? I mean, all of these, and you're kind of looking some prior structural support or resistance to come into play, as I'm trying to demonstrate here. So if this is coming back down, if this correction, this ABC is complete. Oh, and yeah. I mean, we did. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. I can even get the 5 out of this C. So it's highly likely that this is complete. Well, actually, it looks like it might be this way. So it looks like we'd have 3, 4. We'd come down here for 5. I'm going to redo this. This looks like that's my 1, 2. Actually, it looks like that's it. So looking here now for 2 through 3, shallow first reaction, get through it. So that might take a little more reworking, but there's definitely 5 coming down for that C. And we saw, and again, as I showed you, that's a very technical pivot for us. So allowing for that C to be completed and getting a rip here with an impulse, I'm inclined to count that as a 1 wave here, looking for the next opportunity. So I would not be selling up here. I would not be buying up here. I would just be sitting and waiting for more evidence here. So if you're not in this trade, I don't think there's anything to really do here, but look for more information. So as I've got that identified, so let me clear this up a little bit. So now we have the possibility here that this is not completed, that we're just going to come down here and then we have one more challenge up here. That possibility remains. That would break the 786, would add credence to the bullish bias here, that this is now just still putting in the first impulsive wave off of this C low, as this would be an impulse as we don't overlap here. Now, so still unclear as to whether or not from this 4, if that 5 is done. There could be one more kick there. If it is done, let's pull this off. If that is done, then the safer trade here is to wait for the A wave to get in. So we're looking for, can we get 5? Do we get the first retracement? And then that would be the trade right there. So you'd be looking for this move here. This is your trade. Right, so we know this. Well, let's see. So if we pull it here, so again, I'm hypothetical here. So we come back, so golden zone would be ideal. So we get our A wave, right? We did this hypothetical. I don't know what's going to happen there, but that's contender here. As we get a 5-wave reaction down here, 3 waves into a B, there's your trade. Now that sets you up to get the sell right into the buy, right? So it sets it up. If that's going to be a 2. Right? It's all just, these are all just, it's probabilities. These are potential roadmaps. This is not absolute. I'm not telling you that's what's going to happen to the dollar, to the South African rand. I'm telling you that's a potential roadmap that you can lay out right now. Now, whether or not it follows that, well, only time will tell. But what can we do? We can look for those probability zones where we can anticipate a reaction. If we get the reaction, we can enter the market with relatively low risk. So we can be definitive by saying, oh, break the 65, well, I want to be out. or break the 786. Maybe I'm going to trade smaller, break the 786. I want to be out. Starts to accelerate. Maybe I get a little pullback. Well, I can add to that position. Right, so if it's never a bad idea to maybe start smaller if you start to get a little. So that idea would be something like this. So just so you understand what I'm suggesting. So rather than try and pick the exact pivots, if you get something like this and then the market starts to move down, if you're going to get a C wave, well, you're going to get a little 1, 2, and then a 3, 4. It's going to break down like that if you've got it right. So the first trade is here. You might keep the size a little smaller, put your stop on the 786. If you get the reaction now, you can move your stop to break even. The next retrace, then you're looking for the 2 of the C. Then you add there. Now you can add to your position, right? You just follow the thinking there. So you don't have to go heavy on the first trying to pick the turn. You can be in that with a tight stop. If you get the turn, you don't feel like, oh man, I wish I'd taken a little more size there. Because there will be a retracement as the people that caught the turn will want to take profit, right? And then they take profit, right? And then the stops get run under the pivot of the 1. That's what fuels the 3. Same thing over and over and over again, guys. Again, I want to emphasize, the underlying asset does not matter. So if you're just locked in that, I'm a crypto trader, that's all I trade is crypto, I want to encourage you to think a little beyond that. You're a trader. What do you care? If it's moving, is there volatility? Is it technical? Why do you care? If you're passionate about crypto, that's fantastic. So am I. There is no bigger crypto bull than I. You invest in crypto. If you want to be there for the long ride, then that's not trading it. That's investing in it. You want to trade, then what difference does it make? What the underlying? Is it technical? Is it following? Can I find algo footprints? Where are the technical pivots? Is there good risk reward here? Get off of I'm only a crypto trader. You got to think beyond that. Right now, crypto's doing nothing for anybody. It's just going sideways to lower. So until we get new volatility there, you got to broaden your thinking a little bit. Forex, futures, equities, options. Diversify yourself. The methodology doesn't change at all. That's the beautiful thing I'm trying to get you to understand. It doesn't matter. It's not like, oh man, this algo stuff is really potent in crypto. I started trading crypto maybe 18 months ago. I've been doing this exact same thing for 20 years. Exactly the same. It doesn't change. It's fear and greed, fear and greed, fear and greed, and probabilities and money management. You want to be successful in trading? You focus on risk control. This is the fun stuff. This is the puzzle solving. That's the easy part. Get in the market, let the market go against you and see what your reaction is. Right? It should be robotic. Stop takes you out. Stop takes you out. Target takes me out. Not, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think I'm going to carry this overnight. I don't know. I'm going to be worried in the morning when I check the market. You can't trade that way. Who wants to live that way? Is it exciting? Yeah, but that's not why you're trading. You want to trade for excitement, you're better off in Vegas. At least they'll bring you free drinks. All right, guys, that's it for today here. I ran a little bit long. Just a reminder, follow us on Twitter. We're doing all sorts of things there where we're giving you free access to the public Discord where you can sample what we're doing within the members Discord. If you're interested in that and really want to master this methodology, we can teach it to you. It's not that hard. Come on over to TradeDevils.com. It just takes practice, right? So I know I've been doing this a long time, so it kind of looks easy when I do it, and then all of a sudden you bring up a chart and you're like, well, I'm not so sure. It just takes practice. It's like any skill. Perfection is unattainable. Do not even strive for it. Can you be consistent? Can you be unemotional in your trading? Can you avoid trading because you're jonesing for the buzz? That's not the reason to do it. All right, guys. That's probably it for today. All right, and with that, I will call it a wrap. Okay, see you later.